Welcome to this video on mastering Azure Portal Authentication, a PowerShell edition. In this video, we will cover various methods to log into Azure using PowerShell. To get started, type Connect-AzAccount in your shell to receive a pop-up allowing you to access Azure Portal. If you do not have MFA installed, you are done and can access Azure. If you use MFA, or want other methods to learn how to log into Azure, continue on this video and let's learn some alternate ways to log in. This section will cover signing into Azure Portal using MFA, known as multi-factor authentication. If your account is secured with MFA, using Connect-AzAccount as a standalone command will not work. Before signing in using multi-factor authentication, you must complete a few steps. First, validate that you have the PowerShell module installed. If you haven't set up the PowerShell module, follow the link on the screen to a video on installing the Azure PowerShell module. The second is to obtain the tenant ID. The tenant ID location is in Active Directory. Log into Azure Portal to navigate to Active Directory. On the left-hand side, scroll down to Properties, and under Tenant Properties, locate the tenant ID. To connect to Azure Portal using MFA, type Connect-AzAccount-tenant ID and paste your tenant ID. Press Enter, and you will receive a pop-up to enter your credentials. After you've added the username and password, your authenticator will ask if you approve the sign-in. Select Approve, and you will be granted access to your Azure account via the Azure portal. In this section, we'll cover device code authentication. Signing in using device code authentication provides an extra layer of security by verifying the user's identity through a unique code sent to their registered device, which adds protection against hacking attempts and unauthorized access to sensitive information, as only the authorized user can access the device and generate the code. By requiring this additional step, organizations can reduce the risk of security breaches and protect their systems and data. Device code authentication in PowerShell offers several benefits. Here are the top 5 benefits. Device code authentication ensures secure authentication by providing an alternate method to traditional username and password authentication. This reduces the risk of unauthorized access and strengthens overall security. Support for devices without browsers. Device code authentication allows users to sign into their accounts without a browser or limited input capabilities, enabling the user to access services or applications using PowerShell on various devices. Convenience. With device code authentication, users can authenticate themselves by simply entering a unique code on a separate device, such as a smartphone or a computer, which eliminates the need to remember and enter complex passwords, making the authentication process more convenient for the users. Multi-factor authentication. Device code authentication can be combined with other authentication factors, such as biometric authentication or hardware tokens, to provide an additional layer of security. MFA helps prevent unauthorized access even if the device code is compromised. Automation. PowerShell's scripting capabilities enable the automation of various tasks, including authentication. Device code authentication in PowerShell allows developers and IT professionals to integrate authentication into their scripts, making it easier to automate and streamline authentication process. These benefits make device code authentication in PowerShell a secure, convenient, and flexible method for authenticating with services or applications. You can follow these steps to set up device authentication in the Azure portal. 1. Go to the Azure portal and navigate to the Azure Active Directory overview page. 2. Select the Security tab and choose Azure AD Conditional Access. 3. Click on the Policies option and select New Policy. 4. Give your policy a name and select the users or groups you want to apply the policy to. 5. Under the Conditions section, choose Device Platforms and specify the platforms on which you want to enforce device authentication. 6. Under the Access Control section, choose the desired device authentication option, such as requiring multi-factor authentication. Device code authentication is very convenient. However, using this service requires a premium or enterprise subscription. I do not have the proper subscription to use this feature, but I wanted to cover it for anyone who might use this in their environment. Next, we'll discuss service principals. Signing in using a service principal is essential for various reasons, including, but not limited to, separation of duties, security, compliance, and scalability. Separation of duties allows different users to access various resources and roles, preventing any user from having too much control. Security helps prevent unauthorized access to sensitive data and systems, since it uses role-based authentication. Compliance. Many organizations require service principals to meet compliance standards, such as GDPR and HIPAA, which can help ensure regulatory compliance. Scalability. As organizations grow, service principals can help efficiently manage and troubleshoot issues. Assigning roles to a service principal in Azure is essential for managing access and permissions within the Azure environment. By assigning specific roles to a service principal, you can control what resources and actions it can perform. Roles can help ensure that the service principal has the necessary level of access to carry out its designated tasks while maintaining security and preventing unauthorized access to sensitive resources. The Azure Service Principal is a security identity that allows application services and automation tools to access Azure resources. It is similar to a user identity, username and password, but generally things other than humans use it. Service principals can be assigned specific roles and permissions, enabling them to perform tasks and manage resources within an Azure subscription. Service principals authenticate and authorize applications to interact with Azure resources, such as deploying virtual machines, accessing storage accounts, or managing Azure Active Directory. Service principals are essential for maintaining security and controlling access to Azure services. To use an application as a service principal, log into Azure portal, open Active Directory. On the left-hand navigation bar, select App Registrations. Click New Registration. Choose a name. Select accounts in this organizational directory only and register your application. Assigning roles to a service principal in Azure is essential for managing access and permissions within the Azure environment. By assigning specific roles to a service principal, you can control what resources and actions it can perform. Roles help ensure that the service principal has the necessary level of access to carry out a designated task. To assign roles to your service principal, search for or select the subscription service. Click the subscription. Choose Access Control IAM. Tap Check Access button. Search for and choose your app. Verify access. On the screen, you can see this application does not have any roles assigned or denied. Select the plus next to add a new role. Choose Add Role Assignments. For this demo, click Privileged Administrator Role and select your contributor. You can choose to set roles based on job function or privileged administrator roles. On the next tab, use the plus Select Members to add members to the role assignment. Under Select Members, search for your app name or service principal. Push Select. Hit Next. Click Review and Sign. To create the secret key to use with your service principal, log into portal.azure.com, search for or select Azure Active Directory, choose the app registrations on the left navigation bar, click All Applications, select your app, pick Certificates and Secrets on the left-hand navigation bar. Press the plus icon next to New Client Secret, type a description, select an expires value, tap Add, copy the value and save it in a key vault or password keeper. This value is only displayed once and should be protected. There are two parts to using password-based authentication for a service principal. First, you need to have the application ID and secret key ready. Second, you will type $credentials space equals space get-credential, which displays a pop-up. If the window does not appear, give it 30 seconds and try the command again. In the username field, paste the application ID, and put the secret key in the password field. Certificate-based authentication in Azure Service Principal allows you to securely authenticate and authorize access to Azure resources using a public key certificate. This method uses a digital certificate issued and trusted by a certificate authority, rather than relying solely on usernames and passwords. By using a certificate-based authentication, you can provide an additional layer of security to your Azure resources. To set up certificate-based authentication, you'd log into azureportal.com, search for select Azure Active Directory, choose App Registration, click All Applications. Click All Applications, select your app, pick Certificates and Secrets, select Upload Certificate, search for your certificate, and then copy the thumbprint. I do not have any public certificates to upload, so you would just use the command Connect-AzAccount -application ID, paste your application ID, paste your tenant ID, then -certificate thumbprint, and paste certificate thumbprint. Thank you for watching.